us again in 2017. Their interviews were conducted regarding those who were victims of human trafficking. There are promises to live comfortably in Indonesia. Ya, jadi banyak pengungsi ya di Sumatera Utara itu sudah tidak lagi berada di Sumatera Utara, mereka dipindahkan ke Pekanbaru. Memang di tahun ini sudah ada, di awal tahun kemarin sudah ada pengungsi yang datang baru di Serdang ya, Bang Khairul. Tapi memang mendapatkan penolakan dari pemerintah di Serdang seperti yang disampaikan oleh Bang Khairul tadi. Oke, semakin menarik ya bagaimana kondisi kekinian di Indonesia, terutama di Aceh dan di Sumatera Utara. Tentu para peserta semakin penasaran bagaimana nih kondisi di Bangladesh dan juga di kondisi yang ada di Malaysia dan juga bagaimana uh, tem- di tempat-tempat lainnya. Oke, Sister Sabrina, are you ready? Uh, you are listen.
Yes, I
Okay,
yeah,
Miss Sister Sabrina, maybe you are now in Bangladesh near the refugees camp. We want to know what's
exactly.
going on in Bangladesh, especially at Cox's Bazar camp, why they fled from refugee camps. Maybe you can explain to us uh, what condition now in Bangladesh, especially in Cox's Bazar camp. Uh, to Sister Sabrina, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First, I'm very thankful that you people invited me and tried to, and also give me a scope to um, share my experiences and thoughts, and also what's going on in the Rohingya refugee camp in Bangladesh, and what is the largest refugee camp in the world, and where within a very tiny areas, more than 1.2 million Rohingya refugees. They are now living in a very congested, and the shelter is like, it's not the structure is like the tarpaulin plastic, um, and and now is the winter season. People, I mean, they are facing a lot because uh, people really need to be with them at least one day, then they really understand how like 8 feet by 10 feet house, like more than 12 people or 10 people can live, which is not called living. And if we are those who understand the law of international law, is really inhuman. It's like the animal. Like, even though like we are very thankful that Bangladesh government give us a shelter, we can save our life, but again, um, within a very short space from 2017 to until 2000, now it's 2024, like almost, I mean, within this short, I mean, like before we are like 1 million, now it's increased day by day, people's, but still the space is very, still is remain the same. There is still not any space. I mean, like, I know there is a capacity from the Bangladesh government side. We cannot push them. We have to understand, but at the same time, so we need actually understand. I mean, need help from international communities, because for me, Bangladesh government do their best, because Bangladesh itself, they have a lot of problems with their own people. So the thing, what I would like to say, like, international people need to be more uh, focuses on our issues, and also like, they have to be like, not like in the written paper, like, okay, we understand that we really need something like durable, sustainable, and and also we have to go like why, like in the root problems. Like, for example, most of the citizen, I mean, their population are women and children. They are the more vulnerable. There is incident happens, or which is not being documented. There is no proper documented system for them, which is not acceptable, because um, if any women disappear, if any children's being kidnapped, it has to be properly documented. And we really left behind on that cases. So those who are like human traffickers or smugglers, they are taking the chance to sorry, my throat, I've got a very serious cold, so it's very difficult for me to talk. They have taken the chance to manipulate, or like they can, because there's no documented system. So if anyone, like from cam 1, if one woman being kidnapped or disappears, or anyone, it could be man, women, children, anyone, like there's no documented system, so like they can easily do it. They can take the chance to do it repeatedly in a way, like, okay, we can do it, we can target another camp, we can, because so we really need like proper documented legal system in the camp, each block, like the safety issues. And our women, like, is very vulnerable, because as a women activist, I what I have seen, observed, by working with this group, they have no voice, because 95% of us are illiterate, only 5% are literate. And it's not, so you understand, like those who are like illiterate, we are the illiterate community, and our Myanmar government, they did it deliberately. They always keep us away from the media. They always, I mean, deprive us from the basic needs like education back in our countries. I mean, we are not willingly come here or spread all over the issues. I know the many of them already acknowledge about our situation, but still I need try to highlight some things, like there is no like right to practice our religions. For example, if as a woman, if I want to get enroll at school, I need to take off my hijab. It's like, which is my identity as a Rohingya woman. Like, I cannot take off my hijab. So it's very, feel like empathically, like, take off my hijab, then I can be like them. So where is the religion practice? No. And then I have to change my name. I have to change my name to my Muslim name, to like Burmese name. Then I can enroll. So you can observe, like, some of them, those who are literate, they had to deliberately change their name to Burmese name. So, like, where is the human right? And if I go to one area to another area in the Rakhine state, I have to take permission. Why? So, like, there's a lot of why question, and there is no proper answer. And also, they also force our male, those who are male, and like our father, grandfather, they like to work as a porter for them, which is unpaid, without any food. So, and also, if you are like feel sick, they don't understand, they don't care. Like, if you're sick, if you're lazy, or I mean, like, not lazy, I mean, like, if you're sick, or if you're, they don't understand. They just, you have to work, you have to carry out things, you have to carry our rations, and you have to like do whatever, like a unpaid labor. And they beat if they are slow or down, if there's, and then so many of them being like mm, passed away, like they're being murdered, they're being brutally beaten. So everything is undocumented, right? There is no proper documentation, there is no any legal justice for us. We really left behind. We don't know at what point we forget what is justice. There is no justice. So people cannot tolerate all this incident. In front of me, I cannot see my wife being raped, or my daughter being raped, or my son being I mean, like, beaten. So these types of incidents happen repeatedly, like decades. It's not like from only 2017. It's happened like 70. I mean, it's more than a decade. This happens, and so, and then at one point, people cannot tolerate, and they take the desperate decision. Okay, enough is enough. We have to see, like, my land, my home. Why I would like to leave everything left behind. Just think, it's not that easy, and but still they need to take this desperate decision. In the sea, there many people already being passed away. Still, they need to take this decision and come in Bangladesh, and also in some people in Thailand, in Malaysia, also in Indonesia, and they're more, they're also welcoming them. That's why they I mean, go, I mean, like, Because if they're not welcoming, like Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia, people will not go there like all the times. At one point, they will stop, right? So they welcome our peoples, and our peoples can go there. And at least first, at the first place, safety. Your life safety is very important, and then food, education, job is another thing. It will come automatically one after another. But when I need to save my life, and and you know the in Muslim especially the respect for women and how it is important. Like if anything happened in one family, they're actually, even though I show like I'm a strong woman, but still traumatized. Like it's there is no I even don't get, for example, like proper treatment for what's going on, but still, I also don't know that I am traumatized because I experienced all these things. So I need the psychological support, I need the meditation, I need all these things. But for our women, for our man or anyone who feel, we also lag behind on that part. So they need all this psychosocial support, and to overcome from them to life is going forward, we have to accept this. But that at the same time, we have to understand the root cause. The root cause is educations. Again, we come in Bangladesh, take shelters, the world largest refugee camp being created, a lot of international NGOs came here. And but we don't come here for to get the rations from the WFP, or no. We came here to save our lives and to for international intervention, like to see all this injustice. Please try to go there and try to investigate and try. And we would like to go back to our country. We need the proper way of repatriation, not like to again go back to our country and live like the internally displaced people. No, I don't want to be the refugees in my own countries, live in a like the again same. It would be better to live like a refugees, like in Bangladesh or maybe in Malaysia or Indonesia is better, not like to my country. I will go back to my country with all the rights. They have to give back our ancestral land and everything. They have to give back. And I also, as a educated person, I understand that repatriation will not happen like within short time. There is the process. We also have to understand, and also in the meantime, like the before we repatriate with our full rights and justice, we have to be also improve ourselves. How we need education, not like the so-called like what is in our camp is like the just like learning center education. No, we need the formal educations in our camp. Our youth, they really left behind. There's a someone high school pass, but they don't get chance to go to the university or for the higher education. So like the youth, they are in the huge education gap. So see, I mean like, because there is in Bangladesh also there is a like restriction, like the man, I mean like we cannot go to the university or like, I mean especially. So we have to create, I mean there is not like seen to get being educated, especially because within I mean like before we again reparty to our country, we have to wait. I mean, the time we are in here, we have to understand that we need some period of time before we get our full justice. But in the meantime, we really need something to improve ourselves, like education and also like job, which is very important. See, the WFP already cut down the rations, and the food price in Bangladesh last 2 or 3 years, if you see, is triple. I mean, more than triple. What is the 50 taka is now 150 or 200 taka. And without education and only relying on the ration from WFP is not enough. See, you cannot eat food, and I mean there is a no like there is a fencing also around the camp. People cannot go out, can work like in some other countries. The refugee can go out and work with their I mean, so there is a like at least like they should get like the day labor like 200 to 300 taka, so that most of the family, they are not like very small families, like big family, they are like 8 to 10 12 people, so they need to feed their families. And then when this failed at one point, I guess what my experience, people the human traffickers also say, see, you cannot feed your families, the ration is not enough, for example. So why not you are going to Malaysia, or why you are not going to Indonesia, or why you are not going to Thailand to for better income, or for to uh, mm, to meet all the things that you family need, a better life. So human traffickers or smuggler, they take the chance, and then our peoples, they also that they're like helpless, and they have to go there. I mean, at one point they feel like, but we are not encouraged, or it's actually need to be strictly need to be stopped, because it's illegal, and we have to uh, educate people, and we have to not to take these desperate journeys, and we have to make a capacity, well, I mean, with the help of international communities, like how we can do something from work within this fencing, and how we cannot rely on others, like the ration, okay, and also a small income from home, how, and then to wait for the reproduction. At least these types of things need to be ensured for these communities. And yes, and another things like that, as I mentioned earlier, like all the incidents, all these things need to be documented anywhere. I mean, it could be in Bangladesh or anywhere else. It need to be documented, and it should not repeat. I mean, any incident should not repeat again and again. And at one point, like we are treated like animals, like, okay, they are the communities, there's nothing like the justice system with them, and we can do, or we can manipulate them. No, we really love behind. And I really urge, and wherever I get chance, even though I said I try to make these types of mechanism within our camp systems, and people can understand. And also there's a session, also so many things, a warring session, people understand, okay, we should not take all these illegal journeys to, I mean, rather than what we can do alternatives, we have to create these alternatives, and we have to find a durable solution, and we have to make a good strategies. Then okay, we can get rid of all these odd things. And one day I can say I'm a proud Rohingyas. I am a proud Rohingyas, but still, I really don't want to. I'm always the person, like, there's a misinterpretation happen. Like, we are not against the person. It has to be against the issues. We have to discuss about the issues in a constructive way, and find a solution, and to work on it, rather than to blaming a community or a person. And yes, thank you for now.
Thank you, Sister Sabrina. It's so deep explain for us. You are explain for us to condition to Rohingya refugees. Ya. Thank you. Maybe kita langsung ke materi selanjutnya, or next speaker, to Mr. Mahbubul Haq. Times is yours, please.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi,
Waalaikumsalam
salam
warahmatullahi
sejahtera. Saya
Selamat pagi.
Mahmud Haq, fakulti Undang-Undang Hubungan Antar Bangsa, University Sultan Zainal Abidin, Terengganu, Malaysia. Thanks to organizer PAHAM. This is not the first time to join the PAHAM organized international event. Many times I also joined. First time I joined in the 2012. On that time, after the Buddhist Muslims riots in Myanmar, they had organized the big processions and several events in Indonesia. It was my great opportunity to stay more than nearly 2 weeks in Indonesia on that time. And then later, many times we joined. PAHAM invited and Dompet Duafa invited international events. So today, it's a very interesting points. I don't want to say, don't want to mention the word interesting, rather than very crucial situation at this moment in the case of Rohingya in Aceh. The previous speaker, who is discussed from the refugee camps, I know her, and her father was also one of the legendary Rohingya leader, Mongchonu Najmul Alam Chaudhuri. He has a lot of contributions. So just a few years before he died in Thailand, and his father is also 74 generation students leader. In Myanmar, actually, there are a lot of political movements, 74, 80 generations. They are fighting against the other oppressive regime and started again. And this moment, it is very good things that there are many big changes probably come inside of the Myanmar. Those are not only for the uprising, at the same time also armed struggle. Now it is another question, who will support the armed struggles or not, but this is the people's struggles against the military regime. And the many times the people's also uprising was successful, but it was not reconstructed the whole Myanmar state. As a result, the problem started again and again. So why after 88, people were viewed that our country is now going to be started in the journey of democracy, but it was not possible. And then we saw what happened 2010 election. I'm talking about a little bit inside of the Myanmar, and then coming in the recent situations. After 2010, I remember on that time, we also protest against the election because that election was one-sided conducted after the cyclone, and many people were affected, devastated with cyclone. But later, government organized the elections, and luckily, on that elections, there are a few Rohingya MP also elected in parliament. They were in parliament 2015. But I am very much surprising, not on my surprising side, all over the people, those are studying minimum political science or international relations or human rights, they know that how you people's representatives in the parliament, but the government declared that you are not our people. So this is a very, very unusual context in the case of internationally or nationally. Then we know what happened after 2012, the communal riots, and after communal riots, many peoples are trying to leave. But this is not the first time Rohingya left the Myanmar. It was happened during the colonial time, during the British colonial time. And after it was influx, first influx we saw 1978, then it was successfully repatriated because on that time it was the Cold War. During the Cold War time, it was not a big problem because Myanmar was isolated. And through the OIC interventions, if I'm talking about the OIC, is now it's not much more active. But on that time, OIC has potentiality and influence, and it was possible for them to repatriate. And in the 1990s, we saw two times about another influx, and actually the big influx is conducted after 2016 and 17 genocide. This influxes because of the genocide. So, you know, the back and forth situations for them to come and go back and repatriate it. And inside of the country after 1978, basically after 1978, these people were not treated as like a citizens of Myanmar. So why they introduced citizenship law. As a result, their life become very much terrible. So why people has no choice to leave the country. So this journey started, if you see, it started from 1980s. And after 2016 and 17 genocide, it won nearly 1 million. Now, at this moment, so far, my understanding, 1.2 million people are living in Bangladesh as a force displaced. That is the largest refugee camps, what my previous speaker saying that. Yes, it is very difficult for the Bangladesh also maintain these things because of the money inflations. At the same times, I think one thing is missing in here. In the first time when the refugees are coming, 1.2 million, remember, and they are living only in the few areas. Earlier, it was the deep jungle. Now it is only for the people and people. So on that time, international community supports, humanitarian support was huge, but now it is going to cutting. It is not the same level if I compare 3-4 years before. So it was really very pressure for the Bangladesh government. And Bangladesh is not like other countries economically very much developed or solvent country. Yes, now it is trying to middle income generating countries trying to shift the position from developed countries to developing countries to middle income countries. But it is not possible for them, Bangladesh, to bear this large number of people. That is true from the Bangladesh side. No, I'm not saying that is from the nationalist point of view. This is the reality from the Bangladesh side. So why this ration is very, very limited. And then it is not possible for them to live a very good life or healthy life or dignified life. So why people has no choice. At the same time, we know the traffickers. The traffickers and trafficking is one of the biggest international business all over the world. I think so. It is there are first some business, if you saw in internationally, arms trading, drugs trading, and then human trafficking. So this is not a new problem or new business in the world. If I am saying about the refugee context, if I am coming on the why this trafficking, and sometimes trafficking, refugee, economic migrant issue, all are overlapping. That is the theoretical discussion. Actually, this is not the place to discuss about the theoretical discussions within the 10 minutes. But I just wanted to focus that trafficking, economic migrant issues, refugee is completely different. If one Bangladeshi people left the country, I would like to say that is economic migrant. That is not the refugee issue. Yes, but in Bangladesh, inside of the Bangladesh, there are huge political problem, but this problem cannot be compared with the Rohingya problem. Okay, when the Rohingyas are coming, it means they don't have any choice. At the same time, they are also trafficked by the traffickers. That is the reality. There is no confusions. Okay, now if I'm coming on the regional level, what actually regional level problem? Regional level, actually, we don't have any so-called refugee mechanisms in South and Southeast Asia. In South and Southeast Asia, we only few countries are refugee convention signing party. One is Afghanistan. Actually, Afghanistan refugee convention signing party is meaningless because Afghanistan is the refugee sending country, not refugee receiving country. Okay. Second, you can find that in Southeast Asia, Cambodia and Philippines, they are not affected much compared to the other countries. Who is now hosting the large number of refugees in this region? Definitely Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia. Thailand, because of the Myanmar, Thai has longest border. So why not only from now, from 1970s until now, Thailand is the most affected countries for the refugee problem in Myanmar. Okay, then Malaysia also is now not now actually. If you look the Malaysia, I think 90s from 80s the Rohingya refugees are coming in Malaysia. And if you mixing the Rohingya refugees identity and why they are coming and why Bangladesh is coming, I think this is not the same thing. Bangladesh is coming. If Bangladesh is coming, definitely there are a large number of Bangladeshi people who are working in Malaysia. They are economic migrant. They are not refugee. But the Rohingya journey related with the refugee, when I am looking the definitions of the refugee persecution, the 5 criteria of persecutions, all are applicable in the context of Rohingya. What happened if I'm looking back 2009 to until now, many times in these countries also making some policy which is going to be against the Rohingya. Or when there are boats are coming and they are treated them, not welcome them, just give them some foods and some other things and send back them in the sea. So Thailand was highly criticized after 2009, these incidents, and many people died in the sea. So it means that when international rights groups are raising voice about these situations and it was highlighted in international media, then national governments are very much alert about their treatment on the displaced people. Okay, if I'm coming in the context of the Malaysia and Indonesia, Malaysia, I think this is my belief when I discussed with some board people, because in Malaysia is large number of Rohingyas are living. They are not, definitely they are not coming by air. If you like to coming by air, you need a travel documents, valid documents, and these documents they cannot carry because my last speaker saying that we cannot make passport in our country in Myanmar. We have no identity in Myanmar. How they'll come? They come through by boat. And these boats are coming. And sometimes you can say how Malaysia absorbed it. This is a very big question. How Malaysia absorbed it. When I discussed with these boat survivors, I would like to say the boat survivors, because how these people are coming, it's a terrible journey you cannot imagine. I asked them how many days it takes time. They said if it is started from Bangladesh or Myanmar, it will take 7 days, 7 nights, if weather is okay. If weather is not okay and they don't have any proper navigation systems or equipments, because it's a simple boat, so it is not possible for them, and sometimes boat engine was not working and many people died inside of the boat. After died, what will happen? Then after take the janaza, they have to throwing the body in the sea. Can you imagine the situations? Some people died because of the dehydrations. Sometimes they may not understand where is Thailand, where is Malaysia, and where is Indonesia. I asked them, why you wanted to go to the Aceh? They said, no, we don't have any intention to go Aceh. Mainly our target in Malaysia. And they believe that if they can reach Malaysia, their life can be changed. Because might be Malaysia, if I'm looking from the Malaysian context, I'm not advocating the Malaysia, but the reality is Malaysia is one of the countries that hosted largest number of Rohingya from among the Southeast Asian countries, And Malaysian legal forces, there are some criticisms about the Malaysian law and order forces, but when the cases of the Rohingya might be, they are very much soft or might be they are sympathized. Okay, some boats might be not reaching in the Malaysia and then going or offshore in the Aceh. So when they are Aceh, then definitely they should have to, because they don't have any food and they don't have anything, and people are dying dehydration, so they don't have any choice to go there. Yes, if I'm looking some documents, actually what I found the secondary literatures earlier 2019, when I saw the Deputy Governor Muzakkir Manif give good remarks about the Aceh's presence, about the Rohingya presence in Aceh. Rohingyas are the same as us, share the same religion as us, and even physically almost the same as us. So we will protect them if necessary. Don't get back to Myanmar. Just stay in Aceh. We will provide agricultural land so that they can fulfill through their own needs. This is the sentiments. It was coming 2019 from the Achenese people. What happened? Why changes? Why now people are crazy? Definitely there are some internal political factors involved in here. I think Paheru and sister come from the Aceh can explain to us more why the situation has been changed. Some internal political factors involving in here. The internal political factors, so why as a result, some people fabricated all this information and started propaganda against the Rohingyas presence. The very few number of Rohingyas are living in Aceh. If you look, some places in Malaysia, there are many Rohingyas, and people knows them. Might be their lifestyle, might be their way of behavior is not same like others, because we have to understand these peoples are displaced. These peoples are not well cultured, well mannered, because they don't have any education. They don't have any, their treatment inside of the Myanmar and outside of the Myanmar is completely different. So why they are etiquette, manner, culture might be not appropriate according to Islamic point of view. I agreed. When I discussed with the senior Rohingya leaders, home and abroad, they told me this is the situation. So please don't hate them. Don't hate them. But this hatred campaign started now against the Rohingyas. What actually I discussed 2019 and 2024. There are some changes come. So these changes, now it is the duty of our brothers and sisters of Aceh and Malaysia to look what is the fake information, how they use this technology against the presence of the Rohingya. This is the same things happen early days of COVID in Malaysia, and Malaysian civil society organizations and governments very much quickly take the actions and stop the fake information and hate campaign against the Rohingya. It is a very good examples from the context of the Malaysia, what started early days of the COVID, and then it was not possible for them to spread. So lastly, I think my time is near to finish. Might be I have, if I have the opportunity, the second round might be I can discuss some things. But one thing I would like to, lastly, I would like to focus. We need some regional refugee mechanisms. And if peoples are coming in my home, so according to international human rights and according to international humanitarian law, we cannot send back them where their life is endangered. It is one of the customary international practices about the principle of non-refoulement. So if Indonesia doing these same things, then they will be highly criticized in the international community about the because when you send back them with with a little amount of food and drinking water, it is not possible for them to go back in Myanmar because these people are stateless. These people are not only refugee, they are de jure stateless. So in this context, who will take this responsibility? I am not saying that if I will accept them, they will pushing factors and pull factors are involving him. Yes, this is also we have to remind that we have to consider about the push and pull factors. But at the same time, we need to understand the root causes. One thing is the root causes. These root causes issue was also identified, but unfortunately, ASEAN mechanisms had not worked out in the case of the Rohingya. Secondly, if I'm talking about the displaced people's mechanisms is also not strong from the ASEAN Human Rights Intergovernmental Human Rights Commission or ASEAN context. Those are human rights organizations working. They are not much vocal on the principle of non-refoulement and forced displaced people's management. If we don't want to say the refugee, but we have to say they are forced displaced. But this mechanisms is not working. And these organizations are talking about the LGBT issue. They are talking about the women rights issue. They are talking about the many issues. But when the displacement issues are coming, their voice going to be low. So this is our time. And PAHAM is one of the leading organizations from the beginning who raised their voice to protect the right of displaced people. I believe that in this time, they will also fight to protect the right of displaced peoples and also fight against the so-called fake information, fabricated information. And this is not only Indonesia, many countries also affected so-called fake informations or the hate campaign, and mostly women, children, refugees, or any kinds of minorities are victims of hate campaign. So in this sense, I think that this is my last comments in this round discussions. Human rights organization should have to raise voice about the hate campaign because hate campaign mostly targeted in the minorities. So this is our duty to protect the rights of any minorities in the world. Thank you very much. First round discussion. I thought that might be I'm taking more than 10 minutes. So if I have an opportunity, might be I can share some other ideas later. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Mahbub, for your explain to us about your opinion and your knowledge to Rohingya refugee. Jadi teman-teman para peserta yang telah hadir, bahwasanya Mr. Mahbub menyampaikan kepada kita semua untuk ASEAN dapat turut aktif dalam penanganan pengungsi Rohingya dan juga bagaimana kondisi hari ini, kenapa yang sebelumnya Malaysia dan Indonesia menerima pengungsi Rohingya, tapi pada hari ini banyak sekali dari bahkan pemerintah menolak kehadiran pengungsi Rohingya. Tentu berbagai macam alasan dan kondisi yang ada di Indonesia dan Malaysia. Langsung saja pada Mr. Azril Muhammad Amin untuk menyampaikan pemaparannya. Kepadanya disilahkan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
My problem is being the last speaker. All the ideas have been taken up by the previous speakers. So I don't have much, especially my dear friend Dr. Mahbul Haq. He has, kalau dalam bahasa Melayu, bahasa Malaysia itu dia kata sudah borong semua. Tahu ya?
Ya, hampir sama.
Yeah, but I have a slide that I would like to share. If how do I do it? How do I share the slide?
Jadikan host atau multiple.
Can I WhatsApp to you, Pak Heru, and you can send it?
Ya, tolong jadikan host juga, admin. Siapa admin ini? Hostnya.
Bang, how do I do it?
Mungkin bisa.
Yeah.
Oh, already, yes, already.
So how do I do it?
Oh yeah, share through share screen.
Share screen, but okay, wait. Share
Share
screen.
screen, and then
Okay,
you can share through share screen.
and I have to take where's the document?
Yeah, your slide.
Where is the slides? Wait, I'm not so good at this. Okay. Uh,
Or you may send to me, and I will send to the committee.
okay. Okay, can you see now?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's working.
Okay, it is working. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sharing screen, but I want to make it view as
Slideshow.
as okay. How do I? Okay. Okay. Bismillah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a
Salam.
very
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
good morning to all my friends, my fellow panelists, brothers and sisters. Thank you for the opportunity again to share with all of you some perspectives. I think our previous four speakers have already mentioned a lot of things about the situation on the ground and the realities that are faced by the Rohingya. Bisa lah saya cakap bahasa Inggeris langsung lah nanti diterjemah ya. Minta maaf ya.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
boleh.
Okay, so I have actually prepared 15 slides which I can go run through on countering disinformation and negative narratives surrounding Rohingya refugees and proposing some legal frameworks and solutions in the context of Malaysia. Because given I'm sure all of us here have our own respective experience in dealing with our Rohingya refugees, and especially in Malaysia. Like, for example, in Malaysia, I have been involved for almost over 20 years, since my first encounter with the Rohingya. I still remember back in 2001 when I was involved with the registration of the Rohingya refugees for IMM 13. IMM 13 is served as a temporary registration document recognizing the rights of Rohingya to stay in Malaysia. That was a very limited uh, temporary permit that was initiated by the Immigration Department in Malaysia. And during those days, it was my first counter. That was the first time that I made friends with many Rohingyas who are now, some of them have already passed away. Some of them have actually traveled to other countries. Some of them have resettled in other countries. So it has been that long, like the one that Dr. Mahbub mentioned. It has been since the 80s, the late 80s, that Malaysia had been receiving Rohingya refugees. So I think there are basically maybe three major issues that we look at it. What we are talking today, some of our speakers have already mentioned the symptoms and also the effect of the negative effect that they are faced, the difficult situation which are faced by the Rohingya refugees, like in Aceh and also in Malaysia. I think in Malaysia, we have the problem of lack of refugee policy. We are not a member, and Malaysia has not ratified the Refugee Convention in 1951, so you do not have a clear laid out policy to deal with Rohingya refugees. Number two, there is a lack of cultural orientation. Of course, we do not expect the Rohingya people, the refugees who come here, to immediately assimilate, become part of the society. But there is no proper rules, or there is no proper plan in place to at least expose them to the local culture. to the local sensitivities, to the rules, even to the laws. And you cannot expect much, like the one that Dr. Mahbub mentioned. They are in a very precarious position when they ran away from what has happened because they are being unrecognized. They are not being recognized in their country. They have lost their citizenship. They are stateless. They have no documents to prove that they are a proper human being. And number three, I think there is also a problem of long-term, a long-term plan for these Rohingya refugees. So because of that, I think all this disinformation and negative narratives come out, especially in Malaysia. We had the issue of Rohingya refugees being labeled as dirty, as being the threat to the national security, as a threat to the local traders, the petty traders in Malaysia, like in the case of Slayang, where you see they are being lumped together. All the refugees are being lumped together with migrant workers and also with other economic migrants. So I think the issue of countering disinformation and negative narratives, perhaps we need to understand what is the what are the legal frameworks and what are the possible solutions that which I would like to say. And today, as an introduction, we all know that the Rohingya refugee crisis, marked by humanitarian challenges, is further exacerbated. It's becoming worse by disinformation and negative narratives, and addressing these issues requires not only a humanitarian response. What we are mostly currently doing is giving them a proper humanitarian response. But what happens after that? That is the problem. When they come here, when they are on their boats, they have to run away from their country and they reach, for example, the land of Aceh and the land of Malaysia in Langkawi and in other places. We can accept that. But what happens after 2 years? What happens after 5 years? What happens after 10 years? So this requires a robust legal framework. So in this brief presentation, I will look at the international, regional, and domestic legal professions. Okay. I will go for the UDHR. We need to understand in dealing with the Rohingya in the disinformation and also the negative narratives. We have what it's called UDHR, which is a foundational document in international human rights. And in the context of human rights refugee crisis, Article 4, I think we must revisit this article, which emphasizes the right to seek asylum. And this provision recognizes the inherent right of individuals to seek refuge and protection in other countries when faced with persecution or threats to their life and liberty. And Article 15 highlights the right to nationality and protection from arbitrary deprivation of nationality. This is what we have been fighting for. And I think Article 14, we must remember there is also the principle mentioned by Dr. Mahbub, the principle of non-refoulement. So each country cannot allow for these refugees where they are being threatened back in their life. They are being threatened, so they cannot they cannot return to their country because they are under threat of being killed or being persecuted. Okay. And then we have the 1951 Refugee Convention, which unfortunately this is Malaysia is not a party to the convention. I'm not sure whether Indonesia is a party. Is Indonesia a party to the convention? No. Yes. Anyone?
Not yet, not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So the 1951 Refugee Convention is a 1967 protocol established the legal framework for the protection of refugees at the international level. This would be helpful for us human rights activists and also human rights advocates who want to fight for the refugees. Then we must always refer to this refugee convention because it helps in understanding what are the basic the minimum rights of the refugees. Okay, even though your country, my country is not a member yet, has not ratified the convention, but it is helpful. Article 33, Clause 1, for example, the one that I mentioned, prohibits the expulsion or return of refugee, non-refoulement, to a territory where their life or freedom would be threatened. We always advise the government. You see, if let's say you want to return them, you want to send them back to their country, what will happen to them? Of course, they will die. Of course, their life will be under threat. They will be thrown away in some very dangerous places. And this ensures that Rohingya refugees cannot be forcibly sent back to a situation where they face persecution, thereby safeguarding their rights. The next one is the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR, which is adopted in 1966. It's a multilateral treaty. I think Malaysia has not ratified. I'm not sure about Indonesia, whether you have ratified. But there is, I think there are at least two relevant articles that even though I think we need to check. Article 19, it safeguards the right to freedom of expression, and this one is addressed especially to the local people. When you are dealing with the refugees, of course you can express your frustration. Of course you can express your anger towards them because maybe you are not satisfied that they have come here and take your economic opportunities. But this right is not absolute. You can criticize them. You can be critical of the Rohingya refugees, but you cannot go beyond what is allowed under Article 19. The right to freedom of expression. When the moment you disseminate fake news or hoax about Rohingya refugees, then you come under this going beyond the right of freedom of expression. This right is not absolute and can be subject to restrictions as contained in Article 20. So, to prevent things like hate speech against the Rohingya refugees, to prevent discrimination, to protect public order and maintain the rights and reputation of the Rohingya refugees, we can actually use this article, these two articles, which is relevant. Next is the United Nations Security Council. There is one very important resolution, which is Resolution 2467, and this is often neglected. We find, for example, in Malaysia, there are also cases of sexual violence against the refugees. But I think this is mostly happening in detention places and also in detention camps like in Cox's Bazar, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't have the data. But I believe there have been allegations and there have been incidents of conflict-related sexual violence. Yeah. So this resolution underscores the need for enhanced protection measures, accountability for crimes, and support for survivors, addressing specific challenges faced by Rohingya refugees. So this is a very important resolution that we can always use. And as a conclusion to this legal part, maybe these legal instruments collectively provide a framework for upholding the rights of Rohingya refugees, addressing their protection, freedom of expression, and prevention of discrimination and violence. Yeah. And while we go to the regional legal framework, the OIC, for example, even though we can be critical, especially like what is happening to the Rohingya, and currently our frustration about the OIC's inaction on the Palestinian issue. I've been working with some of the other friends from other countries on taking this case to the ICJ and ICC, and we see that it is a big shame that it's South Africa that is taking the action against Israel, not Malaysia, not any other OIC countries. Okay, with regard to the Rohingya crisis, there is one important OIC resolution, number 1045, on the 10/45 POL. This resolution underscores the OIC's commitment to finding comprehensive solution to protect the rights of the Rohingya. It reflects the organization's collective stance on addressing the challenges faced by Rohingya refugees, highlighting the need for a multifaceted approach to safeguard their rights and well-being. We can actually use this as a guide on how to protect the rights of the Rohingya. At the ASEAN level, we have, even though because the main problem of ASEAN is that the non-intervention problem, and Dr. Mahbub may agree and may expand this idea that we have a big problem. Like in Malaysia, we have over 150,000 refugees, not only Rohingyas, including Rohingyas, and we also have some refugees from the Syrian, from the Middle East, Palestinians, and we are also suffering the issue of stateless citizens, these people. So, although not explicitly addressing refugees, the ASEAN Human Rights Declaration emphasizes the promotion and protection of human rights in the region. So these are some of the, I think it needs more improvement in terms of the mechanism, in terms of the clear principles and conventions on how to address the Rohingya issue. And domestic legal frameworks, I have outlined at least two, the Immigration Act, which is the main piece of legislation which is being used to address when it comes to Rohingya refugees. Section 6, Clause 1, Clause C, Subclause 1, Clause C empowers immigration authorities to regulate and control the entry and presence of foreigners, providing the legal basis for managing asylum claims. Even though this is not a very helpful and very specific legal framework, but at least we have some laws in place. And Section 8, Subclause 3, which empowers the Director General of Immigration to issue temporary work passes. They can actually do it, even though this net is not being done. But I think in terms of improving the approach, perhaps because of the lack of a clear policy direction, I think we need to improve on this. It can actually offer some avenue, a legal avenue to process asylum claims, and also for the refugees to work, to be able to work, to have access to education, as well as to have access to hospitals and other facilities, at least minimum basic facilities. And we have the SOSMA, Security Offences Special Measures Act. This one, together with the penal code, is more of regulating the different offenses which are faced by the Rohingya, including if, let's say, they are being threatened by the locals. So we can actually address, or we can actually resort to the SOSMA and penal code, and especially those related to hate speech, defamation, and incitement. For example, Section 503, which criminalizes making statements that can cause public mischief, even if we are criticizing and we are threatening the Rohingya for their presence. And also Section 505 criminalizes statements intended to incite any community to commit offenses against others, potentially addressing hate speech and incitement. I just use these these two laws as an example. And Malaysia's domestic legal framework, I admit that it is not perfect, and it has more room for improvement. But at least we still have some legal legislation in place. And what are the solutions? Okay, in order to address disinformation and also negative narratives, I think the best is, number one, is to promote media literacy. I think both Pak Heru and also Pak Mahbub also have mentioned this before. I think media literacy initiatives are crucial for critical evaluation, fact-checking, and discerning credible reporting to combat disinformation. During the COVID pandemic, I think Centra was really attacked by, I don't know, by the cyber troopers, because they disagreed with our position of giving assistance to the Rohingya refugees in particular, because they felt that we are not doing good enough for the Malaysians, and we are only helping the refugees. So that is something, it was a very sad episode for us, because we had to counter not only disinformation and negative narratives, but we had to also face the anger of the Malaysians for helping these refugees. International collaboration, this is like what we are doing now. I think PAHAM is doing a very good job. We also have other NGOs around the region. And fact-checking initiatives, what we can do, amplify positive stories. I think we should highlight more positive stories about Rohingya success around the world, those who have been resettled and also have been successful in their own way. They are involved in business, in academic, in other areas. And government accountability. Governments and policymakers must be held accountable for transparent communication and efforts to counter disinformation surrounding the Rohingya crisis. This is a very important. We see that politicians, especially, try to they will normally try to use the Rohingya issue or the refugee issues to score points, to get support when it comes to serving their interests. Okay, and conclusion. I think a holistic approach to countering disinformation and negative narratives requires leveraging international conventions, regional commitments, and domestic legal frameworks. So I'm proposing the improvement on this approach, these two approaches, combining legal safeguards to protect proactive measures such as the one that I have already mentioned, media literacy, promotion, fact-checking initiatives, positive storytelling, um, and only this for the NGOs, for the governments of our both countries, Malaysia and Indonesia, we can actually help to address countering the issue of disinformation and also negative narratives. I thank you for the opportunity again, especially to Pak Heru and Pak Ridho, and also the rest of the panelists, and also to the audience. Thank you for your attention. Terima kasih atas perhatiannya. Mudah-mudahan ada yang bermanfaat. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Mr. Azril. Tadi Mr. Azril juga menyampaikan ya tentang betapa pentingnya meratifikasi sebenarnya, karena kondisinya Malaysia dan Indonesia tidak jauh berbeda sebenarnya, belum sama-sama meratifikasi konvensi tentang pengungsi. Lalu juga tentu karena kondisi dari pengungsi Rohingya yang terusir dari negaranya, tentu mereka tidak akan memiliki dokumen-dokumen yang bisa dijadikan dianggap penting ya oleh negara yang menerima, sehingga para pengungsi diharapkan bisa juga diterima di negara sebagai manusia. Lalu juga tentu peran serta dari masyarakat internasional, terutama Organisasi Kerjasama Islam atau IOC, jadi dan juga ASEAN untuk dapat menemukan jalan keluar dari permasalahan Rohingya ini. Oke, mungkin seperti itu kurang lebihnya, dan beliau juga menyampaikan terkait dengan bagaimana kita juga sebagai yang di sini bisa memberikan positif ya, pemberitaan-pemberitaan positif tentang Rohingya itu sendiri, dan bisa mengcounter pemberitaan-pemberitaan negatif terkait dengan Rohingya. Oke, untuk semua pembicara telah selesai. Kita lanjut ke sesi selanjutnya untuk tanya jawab pada para peserta webinar. Disilakan jika ingin ada yang bertanya. Ya, oke, sudah ada yang raise hand nih 2. Bapak Dedi, disilahkan.
Ya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Saya dari PAHAM Kepri. Saya mungkin nggak akan bertanya, cuman mungkin kasih tambahan aja, Mas. Sesungguhnya persoalan pengungsi Rohingya itu, yang penerima pengungsi Rohingya itu kalau di Indonesia itu bukan hanya Aceh dan Sumut saja, Kepri juga. Bahkan Kepri mungkin lebih daripada Aceh dan Sumut. Karena ada juga dari negara-negara Timur Tengah, ada juga seperti Afghanistan, Irak, bahkan dari Afrika, Nigeria. Jadi kalau pengungsi pendatang-pendatang dari Rohingya itu banyak datang itu waktu di awal-awal Myanmar bergejolak dengan Rohingyanya. Dan di situ saya sempat datang ke Rudenim di Tanjung Pinang waktu itu. Dan di situ saya dapat pengetahuan baru tentang pendatang-pendatang Rohingya tersebut. Jadi begini, kita kalah kampanye saja dengan orang-orang yang anti pendatang-pendatang ilegal gitu. Kalau terdengar nggak suara saya kira?
Terdengar, Pak.
Oke. Kita kalah kampanye saja dengan orang-orang yang anti dengan pendatang-pendatang ilegal, yang suka membuat cerita berlebihan negatifnya daripada sisi kemanusiaannya. Jadi di dalam ketika saya berkunjung ke Rudenim, saya dapat pengetahuan baru tentang pendatang itu, Rohingya itu, dan bahkan bukan Rohingya saja, ada yang dari suku Burmanya juga ada dari Budanya ada juga di Rudenim tersebut, bukan hanya Rohingya saja. Jadi ternyata karena Indonesia belum meratifikasi Konvensi Pengungsi tahun 1951 itu, jadi Indonesia itu bukan salah satu negara yang wajib menerima pengungsi. Itu pertama. Jadi ketika ada pendatang dari luar memasuki wilayah Indonesia tanpa izin, disebut pendatang ilegal. Dia bukan pengungsi statusnya dulu. Dan setelah dia datang, di Rudenim tersebut diupayakan oleh petugas imigrasi, para pemangku kebijakan untuk mengusulkan kepada PBB untuk mendapatkan status pengungsi mereka. Kalau mereka sudah dapat status pengungsi, kemudian mereka ditaruh di shelter, sementara menunggu negara ketiga yang akan menjemput dia yang akan mengambil dia sebagai pengungsi, yang akan menerima mereka, memberikan status kewarganegaraan baru bagi mereka. Itu yang sebenarnya di Indonesia. Karena Indonesia, walaupun Indonesia tidak meratifikasi Konvensi Pengungsi 1951, tapi Indonesia punya Perpres 125 tahun 2016. Indonesia itu tidak boleh menolak kedatangan mereka-mereka itu dengan rombongan besar itu, walaupun statusnya pendatang ilegal, karena mereka adalah pencari suaka atau perlindungan kepada negara-negara lain. Tidak boleh menolak, tapi bukan berarti Indonesia wajib menampung mereka, tidak. Karena Indonesia tidak meratifikasi Konvensi Pengungsi tersebut. Kemudian yang harus disampaikan ini literasi, bukan literasi masyarakat saja. Kita juga banyak nggak ngerti juga apa itu refugee itu, apa itu pendatang ilegal itu nggak pernah kita tahu. Sementara kalau refugee itu biaya dan kewajiban tanggungan biaya hidup mereka itu yang menanggung itu PBB, bukan kita. Nah, ini harus disampaikan ke masyarakat biar tidak ada kampanye-kampanye negatif yang berlebihan dan yang melanggar sisi-sisi kemanusiaan. Dan secara kemanusiaan, Perpres 125 tahun 2016 itu adalah mengatur itu, sisi-sisi kemanusiaan itu. Kita menampung sementara. Dan Indonesia itu bukan tujuan mereka. Mereka itu karena gini, letak geografis perairan dunia itu, kalau di wilayah Asia itu, ke arah timur itu, Indonesia ini paling strategis. Jadi mereka itu, bahkan ada yang lebih banyak itu, setahu saya waktu di Rudenim itu, mereka rata-rata tujuannya mereka itu ke Australia. Tapi karena mereka melalui wilayah perairan Indonesia, sehingganya mereka nyangkut di Indonesia. Dan bukan berarti Indonesia ini tujuan utama mereka. Syukur-syukur juga Indonesia mau menerima, tapi Indonesia karena tidak punya kewajiban untuk menerima itu, Indonesia tidak mengusulkan menjadi negara penerima pengungsi itu sebagai status pengungsinya atau refuginya. Jadi kampanye ini yang harus disampaikan, dibuka besar-besaran di tengah masyarakat. Literasi kita yang mengerti hukum harus kita lebih dari masyarakat biasa. Ini dalam pembicaraan saya lihat, dalam wacana yang berkembang, kita hanya menyamaratakan aja ini pengungsi. Tidak, Indonesia itu, Rohingya itu adalah pendatang ilegal masuk ke negara Indonesia, tapi karena Indonesia punya tanggung jawab kemanusiaan untuk menyelamatkan mereka yang terombang-ambing di laut. Dan hanya bersifat sementara. Nah, ini dijelaskan karena kampanye negatif tentang pengungsi, tentang orang-orang Rohingya itu adalah Indonesia menyediakan tempat, lahan, memberi berkah hidup, memberi saja untuk menyampaikan kepada PBB, ini ada loh rombongan Rohingya yang kehilangan status kewarganegaraannya, mampir di negara kami, tolong dong dikasih status pengungsinya, kemana mau diarahkan, negara mana yang mengambil. Karena rata-rata yang mengambil itu adalah, selain Australia ada juga Amerika, dan Indonesia juga berpengalaman menangani sementara seperti itu adalah di kamp Vietnam yang ada di Pulau Galang, Kepri. Makanya masyarakat Kepri sampai sekarang itu nggak pernah bergejolak tentang pendatang-pendatang yang kehilangan status warga negara mencari suaka ini, nggak pernah kami bergejolak. Sampai hari ini ada yang sudah 10 tahun, 15 tahun, itu di shelter mereka. Bahkan mereka itu mencari uang di shelter itu dengan cara jualan sepeda second. Nah, itu kalau di Batam itu terkenal dengan Hotel Kolekta. Itu adalah shelternya pengungsi yang dikontrak oleh PBB. Kami nggak pernah mempermasalahkan. Warga Batam itu nggak pernah mempermasalahkan. Warga Tanjung Pinang juga nggak pernah mempermasalahkan. Karena warga itu, masyarakat itu tahu. Tokoh-tokoh di Batam itu tahu bahwasanya ini bukan ini bukan tanggung jawab pemerintah menerima pengungsi. Wajib pemerintah menerima pengungsi ini. Cuma hanya numpang lewat sementara sampai negara ketiga mereka menjemput mereka untuk diberikan kewarganegaraan. Jadi ini kalau saran saya, tingkatkan status, tingkatkan kampanye untuk melawan kampanye negatif, tapi dengan mengedepankan aturan-aturan jelas. Bedakan antara pendatang ilegal dengan status pengungsi. Kalau pendatang ilegal, Indonesia wajib memproses hukumnya dengan cara menempatkan di RUDENIM, rumah detensi imigrasi. Nah, setelah di dalam itu pemerintah nggak lepas tangan juga memperjuangkan status mereka ke PBB sebagai pengungsi, dalam bahasa Inggrisnya itu refugee gitu. Jadi makanya ini yang harus dijelaskan, kalau statusnya refugee itu tanggung jawabnya ada di PBB. Dan Indonesia karena tidak meratifikasi, Indonesia tak punya tanggung jawab terhadap pengungsi tersebut. Hanya Indonesia karena ada Perpres, negara kita adalah negara yang mengedepankan sisi kemanusiaan, nah, negara bangsanya yang beradab, makanya kita menerima mereka sementara untuk menempatkan di tempat-tempat yang sementara yang menjelang mereka mendapatkan status pengungsi, atau setelah dapat pun status pengungsi, mereka menjelang dijemput oleh negara ketiga yang menerima mereka sebagai pemberi status kewarganegaraan baru. Demikian saja, saya mungkin nggak ada bertanya karena persoalan ini kami juga mengalami di Kepri, tapi kami tidak ribut. Itu aja. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Ya, terima kasih banyak Pak Dedi atas pemaparan pendapatnya, diskusinya kepada kita. Beliau, Pak Dedi, merupakan Ketua PAHAM Indonesia Cabang Kepulauan Riau ya. Oke, jadi nanti untuk para penanya yang mau bertanya silahkan langsung saja ya kepada poin pertanyaannya. Jadi tadi beliau sampaikan seperti ini kurang lebihnya. Pada intinya bahwasanya kita belum meratifikasi ya dari konvensi terkait dengan pengungsi, tapi Indonesia telah memiliki peraturan presiden nomor 125 tahun 2016 itu. Nah, jadi pada poin penting yang beliau sampaikan adalah perlunya kampanye positif untuk mengcounter kampanye negatif ya yang disampaikan kepada masyarakat, dan tentu dengan mengedepankan pemahaman terhadap regulasi yang ada di Indonesia. Kurang lebih seperti itu. Oke, selanjutnya yang ingin bertanya kepada Bu Jen, disilahkan, Dr. Jen.
Terima kasih Pak Moderator. Let me speak in English because there is source speaker speak in English. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Jen. I am lecturer of international relations and also secretary of international relations in Presiden University. perhaps I have 2 points here. The first, I really agree with Dr. Dedi's argument about it doesn't mean that we don't ratify such kind of law and then we cannot do humanitarian action. So it means there is some many ways that we can do directly focus on humanitarian, because as you know, in our diplomacy we focus on the peace, and if we only focus, for example, one issue but we cannot implement such issue in other things, it means we have such kind of double standard. Yeah, for example, we always speak about human rights in Palestine, but then we do this kind of and I'm also very shocked, yeah, with this kind of happening nowadays about Rohingya in our place, yeah, in Indonesia place. It means we do this kind of double standard. Yeah, of course, I'm not really comfortable to say this, but that's the reality. And the second points about what Mr. Dedi said, I also agree. What we can do, yeah, for example, not just humanitarian action, but also the campaign here in President University. We have several campaign, including we create infographic in Instagram, yeah, to give such understanding for the public about, for example, misperception. What is the definition of internationally displaced person, refugee, and humanitarian assistance, yeah, for example. So this is our effort, yeah, our perhaps minimum effort, but we try, yeah, we try to give such understanding about this misperception, misunderstanding related to Rohingya. And I hope with this webinar from PAHAM Indonesia, yeah, I hope we can give better understanding for the public. And also perhaps after this webinar, perhaps we can give some recommendation like policy brief, yeah, because here we have very outstanding activists as well as lecturer of law, Professor Heru, yeah, I call him Professor. Perhaps we can give some policy brief, not just for Aceh government, but for national government. Thank you so much, moderator.
Thank you, Dr. Jen, untuk tadi pendapatnya ya dari beliau yang menyambung bagaimana pendapat dari Pak Dedi berkaitan dengan isu Rohingya ini. Tentu positif campaign yang paling penting untuk meluruskan apa yang terjadi hari ini di Indonesia, dan tentu juga kita mengetahui bagaimana kondisi dari pengungsi Rohingya itu sendiri secara psikologis. Mereka terombang-ambing di lautan, mereka tidak punya negara, tentu ada kondisi-kondisi yang menuntut mereka untuk mungkin oleh masyarakat setempat bisa dikatakan kurang bisa diterima karena bagaimana perilaku dari mereka. Tapi tentu itu menjadi tanggung jawab kita bersama di sini untuk bisa memberikan kampanye-kampanye positif berkaitan dengan Rohingya. Selanjutnya Pak Denny dari Bogor, silakan. Pak Denny masih di sana, ingin bertanya? Oke, sepertinya tidak ada. Maybe all speakers can explain again for the discuss from Mr. Dedi or Dr. Jen. Maybe speakers, Mr. Azril, Mr. Mahbub, or Sister Sabrina can explain to us.
Yeah, perhaps maybe I can just put a little bit comment. Just a quick one in response to Dr. Dedi and also Dr. Jane. It is true if one country is the situation is similar in Malaysia. Indonesia and Malaysia, even though we have not ratified, walaupun kita tidak lagi meratifikasi Convention Pengungsi itu, tetapi kita sudah pun memberikan lebih daripada apa yang patut. Cuma yang saya fikir kalau the positive aspect, sekiranya kita mempunyai policy framework yang lebih jelas, ya, yang lebih tuntas, bagaimana nak menangani. Jadi kita mungkin boleh ambil pelajaran daripada convention refugee itu, convention pengungsi itu sebagai panduan, as a guide untuk bagaimana untuk menangani isu pengungsi ini dengan lebih baik dan lebih teratur. Tapi apa yang Malaysia buat, apa yang Indonesia buat dan banyak lagi negara-negara lain, walaupun tanpa meratifikasi, memang benar. Kalau ratifikasi itu lebih baik kerana kita ada complaints mechanism. Maknanya kita boleh menggunakan uh, convention itu untuk membuat aduan di Majlis Hak Asasi Manusia sebagai contoh. Jadi macam sekarang ini convention genocide, for example, Malaysia has ratified the genocide convention, so we can actually submit our views and we can participate in the ICJ process. Itu salah satu benefit positif aspect of it. Tapi saya setuju dengan kedua-duanya, Dr. Dedi dan Dr. Jain, dan terima kasih kerana komentarnya.
Okay, I would like to add just a few points. Again, most of the refugee receiving countries are not member of the refugee conventions. I give you three countries' name. Turkey is the member. Second largest refugee receiving country, Pakistan. Pakistan is not the refugee conventions signing party. Bangladesh was at this moment hosting largest number of the refugees, not refugee signing party. Refugee signing party, then you have more obligations from international context. But the reality is these countries are not refugee signing party, but they are hosting large number of refugees in Pakistan for decades. For Afghan refugees during the Soviet regime time, they come, and now in their societies. Okay, for ASEAN context, actually, we have what I understood. There is no consistent policy. All policies are ad hoc and temporary based. When the crises are coming, you are addressing the policy. When crisis overcome, and then you are not forget. I told that you are not overlook the issues. When it was coming in the highlights in the media, then Ministry of Home, Ministry of Visma Putra, and other ministries are involving in area. So it need actually permanent solution. Okay. Another questions are important. The refugee number. Yes, according to world refugee number in Southeast Asia, it's not much big. If I'm saying the refugee number, but it does not mean that we should not say anything about the refugees. We have to address the displaced and refugees and stateless resources, because the non-citizens' rights are always vulnerable in any societies. Even in America or Europe, the non-citizens' rights are not protected like others. So in these situations, we need some concrete policy and need to activate the regional international human rights mechanisms, though it is not very easy. Okay, my third point is I would like to say that ICCC and some other issues. I think, yes, we ratified many international conventions. Does it mean that we really apply in the domestic level? Such as Bangladesh at this moment, the member of the International Criminal Court. But they are interpretations and why they are ratified in and they use against where it is very complicated. It's not very easy. In the context of Malaysia, or might be Indonesia, it is different. Malaysia, back and forth policies earlier saying that we would like to ratify, later some political problems are coming. But I think political willing, political sincerity and political will is very necessary to address any offense of human rights, the national context and international or regional context. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mahbub and Mr. Azril. Maybe Sister Sabrina, you can add your opinion. Okay.
In the end, I would like to say, like, I agree with all the panelists, and it's a very well informative session. We have to actually apply it. We have even though a lot of mechanism, and their upcoming mechanism, or we feel like we have to make all this mechanism to mitigate from this problem. So now is the time for action. We have enough talking, and how do we get rid of all this problem, and we'll move forward. I think is a very good platform, and we need to like uphold this, and we have to create a platform. I mean, like create more good example. And as like Mr. Ashir Muhammad Amin said, like to good storytelling, like more like success stories, and also like from very, I mean, like for all level, we have to try it our best, and we have to come out from this problem. And yes, there will be beautiful tomorrows, and I'm very much optimistic. And yes, by saying that, assalamu alaikum to everyone.
Thank you, Mrs. Sabrina. Mungkin ada yang mau bertanya lagi dari Bapak Ibu sekalian? To all participants. Maybe you can give opinion to us in here. To all participants. Jika tidak ada, Bapak Ibu, kita langsung saja ke acara selanjutnya ya, yaitu closing statement dari semua speaker. To all speaker, maybe you can give us closing statement for Indonesia or for the world community. To Dr. Mahbub, please.
Actually, okay. When you organize this event, especially for these particular cases, in the cases of Aceh and head campaign. So as a students of human rights, we would like to believe that, yes, we need to establish the counter narratives, one thing. And second thing is the fake and hate information is not a new problem. It's a global problem. And I told you earlier that the target is the minorities. So in this sense, we need to develop our voice, and we have to raise our voice, not only counter voice, raise our voice, and need some legal instruments to fight against them. Even though I'm not coming from the law background, but I believe that as a students of human rights, we need some legal instrument that will be very much helpful for us to fight against these kinds of situation. So in these cases, we know the political problems inside of the Indonesia because of the president elections and other factors. But these factors, if election is will over, and then another factors will become, and some vested groups of peoples are always instigating it. So need some counter voice from the civil society. On the other hand, need some legal actions against the hate campaign. That is my two concluding remarks in this context of Aceh, the plight of the displaced Rohingya in Aceh. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. And Sister Sabrina, if you want to give us closing statement.
I again thankful for this beautiful session. And also, like, I'm agree with the professor, Dr. Mahabul Haq. I'm agree with him. And I would like to say that, yes, we have to come out from this problem, and we have to focus on more in the road problems, and we have to make good strategies, and we have to promote the good things, as I mentioned earlier. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Sabrina. And next, Mr. Azril.
First and foremost, thank you to the organizers for organizing this very engaging session. And as I have mentioned already in my presentation, I think what is most important is we look at a holistic approach to countering the issue of disinformation and negative narratives. And this one, I think it requires us leveraging on the international conventions, regional commitments, and domestic legal frameworks. So we have one is the legal framework, the legal safeguards, and also proactive measures like the one that I mentioned, media literacy promotion, fact-checking, and also positive storytelling. So I think what Malaysia and Indonesia are doing for the Rohingya refugees are great. but it can be improved, and we can also urge our government to be more responsible, more responsive, and more proactive in terms of addressing the issues of Rohingya refugees. And I wish the best to all of you, to especially to my colleagues at PAHAM, and also I hope to see you uh, soon in Jakarta, or if you come to Kuala Lumpur, you are most welcome. Also to Sister Sabrina and Dr. Mahbub, please come to Kuala Lumpur. Please let me know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Thank
Waalaikumsalam.
you
Thank you.
very much, Mr. Azril. And next, Bang Khairul untuk memberikan closing statement-nya. Apa masih ada, Bang Khairul? Kalau mungkin beliau sedang ada agenda selanjutnya closing statement dari Ketua Pembina Yayasan PAHAM Indonesia kepada Prof. Heru Susetio, disilahkan.
Bu Nikmah, Bu Nikmah.
Bu Nikmah sedang ada agenda, Prof.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much for the committee, organizing committee, for Pak Rido, for Pak Darmianto, and all of PAHAM and PR officer, as well as for our foreign speakers, Sister Sabrina, Dr. Mahbubul Haq, and Pak Azril Muhammad Amin. Also our national speakers, Bang Ketua Hairul Anwar Sibuan and Mbak Nikmah, and also all participants. Actually, we have our own duties to, as mentioned by my colleague, Dr. Jean Francois, that we need to provide the clear narrative and positive narrative and a clear condition. So actually, yeah, I agree with Pak Dedi too, but with Pak Dedi bahwa that's the problem of Rohingya displacement in Indonesia is not just to improve the literacy of the people, but also the activists as well as our officer. Di problem peningkatan literasi bukan literasi hanya bagi masyarakat, tapi juga bagi para penegak hukum, bagi petugas imigrasi, pejabat, masuk dosen, akademisi, aktivis dan sebagainya. We got the problem with the poor literacy in regard to understanding the refugee problem, how to distinguish between refugees, migrant workers, migrant economy, transit migrants, economic migrants, and IDPs, internally displaced persons, and asylum seekers. So actually, this is our own job now. Other than the state or the government or the international agencies, we as a civil society have our own duties to improve our literacy, our understanding about refugees issues, not just in case of Rohingya, but also any other case of displacement all over the world, like in case of Sri Lanka refugees, Afghanistan refugees, Iran, Iraq, Palestine, and Syria, Libya, and any other, including the refugees in Colombia, Venezuela, and other places in all over the world. But because we live in Indonesia, perhaps our own priority is our nearby, like coming from Rohingya, from Myanmar, Bangladesh, from any other places around Southeast Asia and South Asia. Again, that is our things that we need to do. Tugas utama kita adalah meningkatkan literasi, membuat narasi yang positif, yang berdasarkan kebenaran dan data dan fakta, bukan berdasarkan hoax ataupun fake news, berdasarkan berita-berita yang dipelintir ataupun gorengan, tapi berita yang benar alias evidence based. So we need evidence based fact, evidence-based research, evidence-based advocacy. It's not just based on hoax and fake news, but evidence-based. So we can we can improve the quality of our advocacy for the betterment of our society and also the betterment of the condition of refugees and asylum seekers. Jadi mungkin teman-teman sekalian, again, thank you so much for Dr. Mahbub, Sister Sabrina, Pak Azril, Mbak Ketua Khairul, Mbak Nikmah, and also all participants, particularly Dr. Jean Francois from Presiden University, and Dr. Pak Faisal Sahmenan, Pak Direktur, Pak Khairullah, Pak Busra Nasution, and Bang Rido, Pak Darmianto, and all of the PAHAM and PR officer all over Indonesia. Thank you so much. And this is not the end of our job, our advocacy. We will work for this. Kita akan bekerja terus untuk menciptakan keadilan dan perdamaian, kesejahteraan bagi para pengungsi wabil khusus orang Rohingya dan siapapun yang terzolimi di Indonesia dan sekitarnya. Terima kasih, selamat pagi, thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih banyak Prof. Heru, closing statement-nya kepada kita semua di sini berkaitan dengan